to when George III rode in at the state opening of Parliament. It is 260 years old. There is the command. Now it will take a few seconds for that to filter down, and the procession will all move off together.
That is remarkable. So the whole parade starts together, and you notice that he paused as it was being counted down in his ear. The same countdown for, as I say, all the bass drums. That's a remarkable feat.
And so begins the Coronation procession, the route back from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace. And this is where the fun begins, because the service, quite rightly, is solemn, it is serious. It was, I think, extremely emotional for those taking part, and I think for most people watching. But this is almost a relief. Everything so far has gone absolutely like clockwork. And that golden coach, although it has poor suspension and may not be the most comfortable ride, it looks immaculate. It is glistening, it is gleaming. And it's made of gilt wood. That's a thin layer of gold leaf over wood. The interior is satin and velvet, and you see on the outside the panels are painted with the Roman gods and goddesses.
It also ensures that the King and Queen are the driest people on the parade.
That is true. Here we see the Commonwealth troops and the flags being carried on the outside as well. And there are 8 groups in total in this coronation procession.
Flags being carried by guardsmen from across the household division.
And here we have the first of the carriages following the gold state coach, and you can see the Prince and Princess of Wales and their 3 children. Prince George, who played such a good role there as Page of Honour, and Princess Charlotte, who's just celebrated her 8th birthday, and Prince Louis as well, who was 5 last month. Very exciting for them. And the King and Queen, the King wearing his imperial state crown and carrying the sceptre with its cross and the orb, and wearing King George VI's robe of estates, and the Queen with her newly made robe of estates, and the Queen Mary crown. The gold state coach is drawn by 8 Windsor Greys, and among those riding for the first time, Lucinda Perrott, first female rider in the team of riders. And there we can see Prince Louis. He's got a good view, he's got the outside seat, and Princess Charlotte waving enthusiastically. She's wearing a very beautiful Bruce Oldfield dress, and it's very similar in design, almost matching the one that her mother is wearing. And right at the front of the procession, you can see is halfway down the Mall already. And Atlas. You see the drum horses at the front there, ridden by Apollo, being ridden by Corporal of the Horse Richard Brown, and Atlas ridden by Lance Corporal of the Horse James Ballantyne.
We saw Apollo slightly misbehaving at the beginning, didn't we? They did so well to control him.
He was tricky, he was being tricky. Now, very quick change and leg up for Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, because you saw her leaving Westminster Abbey to a side door, and in a matter of minutes she is now mounted, and she is not far behind her brother the King, and she is gold stick in waiting and Colonel of the Blues and Royals, and I think fair to say the best rider on parade. She's a former Olympian, a European Open champion as well, so she knows what she's doing, and she is riding a horse called Falkland. There she is, and looking extremely comfortable en route. I think the rain has eased up, you know, just in time.
She's riding with the other colonels of the regiments of the Foot Guards. Next to her, Lieutenant General Sir James Bucknell, Coldstream Guards.
And we'll have a look further ahead in the parade, because the RAF make a particularly impressive sight because of their white gloves, and you can really see those arms marching in time. And now you can feel the energy coming back to the crowds. They've been watching the service on the big screen, but this is what they've been waiting for. This is why they slept overnight, to get a position so that as the procession came by, they would feel it as well as see it and catch a sight maybe of those young princes waving at them. And just to correct myself, actually, Princess Charlotte and the Princess of Wales wearing outfits designed by Alexander McQueen. The Blues and Mars with their red plumes and blue tunics, and behind the state coach, the lifeguards with their white plumes and red tunics. And that is their role, isn't it? The two regiments of the household cavalry, very much to protect the monarch.
They are the sovereign's escort, Claire, as it says, and whenever the monarch is on a ceremonial parade, you'll find the sovereign's escort protecting him.
And the Gold State coach also flanked by watermen, yeomen, palace footmen, grooms, all on foot, and 28 representatives from British overseas territories. And the Prince and Princess of Wales have recently enjoyed a visit to Wales. They stayed in a B&B, and they went into the Brecon Beacons with the mountain rescue team to see the sort of work they do. The Royal Navy here making the turn in front of the statue of Charles I, in front of Trafalgar Square and through Admiralty Arch.
They're commanded by Captain Sophie Shaughnessy. She's a marine engineer who served with great distinction in the Royal Navy, Bosnia and the Gulf, amongst other places. And this is her last duty in uniform, commanding the Royal Navy at the Coronation.
And they're the band of the Royal Marines with their white pith helmets. And I think that royal blue on the decorative, the mains obviously, the Windsor Greys, it looks so striking. And there have been various colours used, of silver for the Silver Jubilee, gold for the Golden Jubilee, and the King picking royal blue. Passing the cenotaph, coming up towards the memorial for the women of World War II. And back on the Mall we can see the full glory of this enormous procession. As we've said, the largest for 70 years, Greville.
It is, and as you said earlier, it's divided into 8 distinct groups. The Brigade Major leading from the front, and then we've got the Royal Air Force, closely followed by all the regiments from the Royal Armoured Corps, then the Senior Army Corps and the infantry following them. Behind them are the Junior Army Corps, and hopefully we'll see all these different regiments and units more closely in a minute. And then, as we've seen, the Royal Navy and the Royal Marines bringing up the rear. And of course, that's a great honour for them. It's the senior service, they are closest to the monarch. Behind them, the Foot Guards and Household Cavalry dismounted.
Gold State coach making good progress down Whitehall. We'll pause for the national anthem. Regiments of the Foot Guards now making that turn, and they will have to funnel themselves through those three arches, so quite a feat, Greville, of organisation.
It certainly is, and it's going to get even more challenging when they come to the gates of the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. We see there behind the Foot Guards, we have a number of different organisations, the Yeoman Warders, the Royal Watermen, as you mentioned before, the King's Bodyguard with the Yeoman of the Guard, the Royal Company of Archers, and the Honourable Company of Gentlemen at Arms. All 5 regiments of Foot Guards with their King's colour ahead of them, and their regimental lieutenant colonels and commanding officers on parade. And there you see the dismounted regiments, the Household Cavalry, the Blues and Royals, and the Life Guards.
Commonwealth troops in the overseas territories. And it's wonderful to know the reach that today is having around the world.
447 representatives of the Commonwealth Armed Forces on parade. And of course the King is head of the Commonwealth. And very interested to learn that he has managed to visit 45 of the 56 Commonwealth countries, which is quite a feat.
I think his first visit was at the age of 5. I think he went to Malta, first of all. So only a year after he attended the Queen's coronation, he was on his first official trip to a Commonwealth country. You see that grandstand behind. They've got a lovely view now. We're back with the Prince and Princess of Wales. And the children all at the same school now, at Lambrook School in Windsor, and Princess Charlotte, I know, is massively into her gymnastics. The two princes enjoy their sport as well, and I think their parents are very keen to ensure they have an outdoor lifestyle as much as possible, a normal childhood, as much as is possible.
Well,
And there we find their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. And the King and Queen Camilla have a chance now to really enjoy the crowds who have gathered and acknowledge them as much as possible. And having got through... the Canadian Mounted Police. Now the Mounties have a wonderful relationship with the Crown. They have over the years gifted many horses to the late Queen, and indeed are giving a horse to the King that he will ride for the King's birthday parade, as it will be, Trooping the Colour, in future years. So the Mounties have a very prime position.
they have, I mean...
And actually, I think all of those horses here have been gifted to the royal family. So they are being ridden here, but they actually now belong to the royal family.
And I was going to say, what an extraordinary thing for them to be able to do from Canada. And and ride at the head of the royal procession.
The Royal Air Force have reached the Queen Victoria Memorial, and I mentioned this earlier, all of the marching elements to this will make their way into the gardens of Buckingham Palace, and they will form up there to salute the King. Because they're ahead of the Gold State coach, they haven't had the chance to see him since he's been crowned, but they will in the gardens.
Yes. Mass bands of the Household Division.
You were making a point earlier, Greville, about the importance of music to both the infantry and indeed cavalry, but that beat, the importance of keeping everybody on a beat.
It is, but also the idea that the music is a morale booster. It makes everyone, lifts everybody. So if you're going into battle, to have music in front of you is reassuring. And of course, when the enemy hear that loud beat coming towards them, it also puts fear into them. So it plays many different parts, quite the ceremonial side.
Back with Prince and Princess of Wales and Princess Charlotte and Prince George and Prince Louis. I think still enjoying their ride.
I was going to say earlier, Claire, I was trying to interrupt you. I think they might compete for best show and tell at school, don't you?
Oh, I think they will. I have to say that if we were awarding, medals, obviously medals to all the pages in the service, but also I think a medal to Penny Morton, Lord President of the Privy Council. That was a heroic effort.
Heroic is the word. I was talking about the ensigns who carry all the colours, the flags out on parade, and they'll be extremely heavy with the rain, but she was holding that ceremonial sword. The Gurkhas.
Much loved Gurkhas. And Nepal. And you see there the flags of the Commonwealth nations. St Kitts and Nevis, I think it was on the left there. And the Princess of Wales, looking absolutely beautiful. Prince of Wales is wearing underneath those robes the uniform of the Welsh Guards. He is now their
Colonel. And of course, the Princess of Wales is the Colonel of the Irish Guards. See the standard of the Coldstream Guards. Only ever carried in the presence of the monarch. One of two colours.
Yes, Louis. He's done so well.
See the Sovereign's escort now pulled off to the left. I don't think they'll be going into the gardens. I'm sure that gardeners of Buckingham Palace
would like
would be
it.
very happy if those horses appeared on their lawn.
No, they will be taken back to the Mews. And as the Gold State coach disappears, we have one last look at Prince Louis there, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Prince George and Princess Charlotte. We will next see all of those who were involved marching on procession. We'll see them formed up in the gardens behind the palace, and no chance to personally salute the King and Queen. And that was impressive in scale and execution and accuracy and uplifting.
So uplifting and so unique to get representatives from across all the armed forces on parade at the same time together to celebrate the new monarch.
Really credit to those who have planned it and to the work that's gone in rehearsing some of those rehearsals through the middle of the night.
Well, indeed, and we expect our ceremonial troops and others to do a good job. That's what we've come to expect. But actually, so many of the personnel on parade today it's not what they do every day. They come off their ships, they come from their air bases and their regimental barracks all over the country and indeed the world to perform today. And you can see the colours of all those regiments represented, colours and standards there around the Queen Victoria Memorial.
A wonderful, glorious sight. Hugely enjoyed, I think, by those present here, but also by those watching. And one last duty for those military personnel to the West Terrace of Buckingham Palace. Queen Camilla following him. And you see Prince George there at the back of the train, still playing a role as page of honour.
His Majesty of Forces! Royal salute! Return! Arms!
Garrison Sergeant Major Andrew Stokes giving the order now for them to remove headdress and call out for 3 cheers.
Remove! Headdress! Turn! 3 cheers for His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! The parade will replace headdress! Replace! Headdress! Counter! Quick! Up!
And the mass pipes and drums are now playing a tune called King Charles III. I think Andrew Stokes, known as Vern, can reflect on a job really well executed there. I've never heard 3 cheers resound so loudly in an open space.
I was the wrong person to ask the commentator on this. I'm actually in tears. I mean, that was really amazing.
And you saw the yeomen of the guard saluting the king as he went back into Buckingham Palace, and we will see the king and queen shortly alongside working members of the royal family on the balcony, and we still
Not
have
let their bearskins fall off. They can't look down. Well done.
So, Gravel, overall, what would your reflections be on what you've seen of the coronation procession?
Well, we've talked about the scale of the parade, because it is big. It's the biggest thing I've seen in my time, and I was serving, as you said earlier, for 34 years. But I think it's the delivery of the most extremely complex military operation, because that's what it was. It was a military operation delivered to perfection. And a wonderful, wonderful tribute to our king. And finally, Claire, it just makes you proud to be British.
Well, most of these servicemen and women have been on the go since 3:30 this morning, when they left their bases to take the train to London, and nearly 11 hours later, they will now disperse. They will head back by train to those bases, and they can be very proud of the part they have played in a procession that truly was fit for a king and a queen.
Robert and David, in the imperial state crown and Queen Mary's crown, waving to the thousands of people who are thronging the Mall, who have braved the rain and are here to witness an historic moment. And we see there the pages, who, I have to say, did behave very well, getting a moment that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. And also, Queen Camilla is joined by the two ladies in attendance who helped her with her train and doubtless steadied the nerves too this morning as she was getting ready. A wave to the crowd, and the crowd waves back. Robert Hardman, I believe, as a very young prince, was it age just 2 that Charles made his first balcony appearance?
Yep, it was 1951. He was 2, and he came out. They normally wait till you're sort of 2 or 3. The Queen came out as a babe in arms, but there we are. This is the rest of the family joining, and now the working family. It's quite interesting. We're seeing there all those who still undertake engagements, regular engagements, and their children. But I mean, this is such an important moment, because this is the first time he has led the family out as king. He's been on that balcony, as you say, Kirsty, since he was tiny. He can just about remember the coronation balcony moment, and ever since then he's been seeing these scenes. But you know, he's leading them today. He's the one they're here to see.
He does look relaxed. He's taking it all in, and it must be quite a scene to be on the receiving end of. And when you say working members, I mean, obviously we've got children there, we've got the pages today, some of them better known faces than others. Take people through the working members of the royal family.
The working members, they're the ones who appear each day in what we call the court circular. There we see the new Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh there, Prince and Princess of Wales there. Then the pages, the King's pages, the Queen and her pages there to her left. But this is sort of, in a way, recognising those whose day-to-day job is supporting the monarchy. They are, you know, the King's eldest son, Princess of Wales, and Princess Anne, of course, the Princess Royal, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. And also it's nice to see there the elder cousins, as the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, Princess Alexandra, the Duke of Kent. They still play a part in this sort of broader royal frontline unit, if you like. You know, they may not make the headlines every day, but they're still there. They've got their patronages, and the King feels a great debt of gratitude to them. So on a day like today, be saluting them. What we haven't got here is all the extended cousins and cousins of cousins and that sort of thing that we used to see at perhaps a birthday parade. I think underlying the messaging here is, today's a day about the monarchy rather than about me, myself.
Yes, very interesting point. And I suppose such a special day when those youngsters have been involved, you want to say a sort of thank you.
Oh yeah, they've been working
There's
today.
a deal of pressure on those youngsters to go out there and behave well. Also very interesting to see, and there we are, a wave from two very popular people. Not in a wheelbarrow around the garden today, something altogether different. And here we see, John, the helicopters coming in.
Yes.
Through the clouds, through the rain, they've made it.
Exactly, they've battled through. So this is the first of 5 formations of helicopters we'll have ahead of the Red Arrows. And what you're seeing is a formation, the first ones were a formation of 3 Juno helicopters, sort of training helicopters from No. 1 Flying Training School. And interestingly, on the second of those helicopters is Squadron Leader Rich Allinson, who was actually one of Prince William's flying instructors when he was going through his helicopter training. So there's a nice royal connection there.
And also interesting that the helicopters can fly lower, so that's one of the reasons it's safe for them.
They can, and they have slightly different rules when it comes to cloud base and how close to the weather they can get because of their slower speed.
Right, and even though it's very rainy then, it's not too dangerous for them today?
It's within the safety limits. It's right on the edge, which is why unfortunately we couldn't get the other aircraft, but absolutely within limits for the helicopters and for the Red Arrows.
And so they're coming right overhead,
Hear them now.
right over the palace. Everybody looks up. And
So at the
King
top of the
himself, sorry, go ahead.
So the top of the screen there was the army formation, so a Wildcat and 2 of the AH-64s, so they're coming over now. So we've got formations initially from the Navy, then the Army, then the Royal Marines, and then finally the Royal Air Force.
And the King and the Prince of Wales both looking up there and understanding both as helicopter pilots. That's interesting.
It is.
They know what it takes.
Well, we've got the first monarch who could fly a helicopter. He was in his naval days. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was actually a very good Wessex helicopter
Indeed,
pilot.
yes.
He was top of his class, so he knows what's going through their minds. And of course, the Prince of Wales has flown many helicopters, so there's a lot of expertise up there. If they're flying the wrong way, I'm sure they won't just hear about it from their immediate bosses.
Now you see everybody else is tilting their heads up apart from the King and Queen, but of course they've got something to be mindful of, so it's just eyes up for them.
One occupational hazard of the head that wears the crown is you can't look down, as the Queen used to say. You've got to read your speech looking straight ahead.
So they're making a fair sound. We can see the windows of the palace there even having a little shudder as those helicopters went past. And one of the things that I certainly wondered today is, how would the crowds be? Would it be a huge crowd? And we have a very definite answer, Robert Hartman, in that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, the crowds aren't as big as they possibly could be because of the new sort of system they have for sealing off the processional area. You haven't got as many people in the immediate area, but here's the big
Yes,
moment.
here's the big moment. Here's the main event.
Absolutely. So the Red Arrows, because they are a professional display team, they can work to greater weather limits than the other aircraft who have unfortunately been unable to join us. So we do get the chance to see the iconic Red Arrows in their red, white and blue as they come down the mount, which just looks fantastic.
What a scene.
They're currently in their 59th season. They've got another 60 displays to do this year.
And where are those displays? Are they all over the world, or do they tend to be in the British Isles?
So the majority in the British Isles, but they do go all over the world.
And this is the moment. Well, that was a wonderful moment, an iconic moment, and it would have been a great shame if the weather had put stop to what really is a sort of seal on the day, I think, John, don't you? That sort of visual spectacle of something that we come to know and be in awe of and also be very fond of, that spectacle of the Red Arrows.
Absolutely.
The armed forces giving a round of applause. And in we go. A day that really Robert Ardman couldn't have gone more to plan, apart from the weather, but it is Britain. And it is the spring.
It is a coronation.
It is the coronation.
You know, and as the king said yesterday when asked about the weather, he said it's a blessing. And look at him; he's absolutely delighted by that. You know, that, as I said, you know, this is his first time. It's so important. These firsts as a monarch. You know, your first Christmas broadcast, your first cenotaph. And now, you know, this is his first appearance on the balcony. He'll never come back on the balcony wearing all that again. The next time we see him will be probably next month at the birthday parade. You know, the more traditional balcony moment. But